want to go in and start texturing the flower for my little lily pad, and I've run into a couple little small creative challenges. Upon looking at the reference, I discovered that the flowers are quite beautiful, and at the core of their flowers is this wonderful shade of like a deep, dark pink, and then it slowly transitions to a white on the tips of the flowers. And I want to create that slow transition. Now, I have a couple things in here that I need to look at to help me craft that transition. However, I want to use this as an opportunity to talk about the two-dimensional transform tools for our objects and our layers inside of our layers palette. I'm going to go over into the 2D mode here. And these big ovals down here at the bottom of my texture really represent the petals of my flower. And luckily, one of the procedural elements that we have is a gradient, linear gradients. Now, these are just a transition between white and black, and there's a couple of them down here, and they're quite good in this particular case. We're not using the world space normal or any of the baked mesh map information. This is just a straight up gradient that we can control. Let's add in a fill layer here real fast, and this fill layer is going to be responsible for creating the color. Now, these are going to be petals, so it's not going to be metallic, and I don't need to worry about the normal and height at the moment. The roughness is going to be quite low. Flowers aren't super reflective, so I'm going to put my roughness value to about 0.5, and I think that's a good place to go. Now, the linear gradient is going to override the color information, and this is what we get. You can see almost immediately the black and white values of our gradient coming in play here, and I want to make sure that it's black down here at the bottom of the petals, and then it goes all the way up to white at the top. At the moment, if we zoom out, you can kind of see it. It's black at the bottom of the texture, and then it's white up here at the top. Now, how are we going to get the white to be at the tips of the petals? Because I want that to be the conclusion of my gradient. Well, if we go into our texture set properties, or excuse me, the layer properties, the balance is going to allow us to control it a little bit. And if you look carefully here, you can kind of see how that balance is working. As I increase the balance, I'm kind of determining the start and stop point of the gradient within inside the two-dimensional image. Let's put this back to 0.5, kind of its defaults. Let me show you another way of doing it. If you've ever wondered what these little bounding boxes, these little cubes at the outside of your texture set are, these are the two-dimensional transform tools for this layer. In addition to be able to three-dimensionally transform our textures, we can also two-dimensionally transform them right here inside of our 2D view. I'm going to hit the undo key, put that back. And so we can make them bigger, we can make them smaller, we can rotate them if we'd like. We have a lot of control over how these two-dimensional textures are showing up inside of our UV maps. This is one of the reasons why I like working inside of Substance Painter, because we can work inside of a 2D view and a 3D view. And what I'm going to do for this layer, I'm going to make the boundaries of that layer be right around here. I want to mask this with my polymasking tools here in a minute. So I'm just trying to get close. I want the top of my texture to be right there at the top of my petal. I'm not going to worry about this in here because that's the bottom of the little rods in the center. And now we can very easily see that the bottoms of the petal are black and it transitions all the way up to white. With that in mind, let's add the filter so we can start to truly colorize all of the petals. So this is on a fill layer here. Let's add in the effect. Go to filters. We'll load in the gradient. There we go. And now I think I only want 2 colors, so I want to change the color quantity from 3 to 2. And the first color is going to be white up here at the top. And the second color, the black one, I want to turn into this lovely shade of dark pink. I want to make it super bright and vibrant. And let's continue to experiment around with the placement and the position of all these colors. Because right now, the gradient is very large. It's black, and then it slowly transitions to white up here at the top. Well, I want to have the transition kind of happen more towards the top of the petal. So let's experiment around with these color positions. This is pushing the red up, and if I take my position for color 2 and have it go all the way up, I can define how large the transition zone is going to be. And this is pretty neat. Maybe I want the transition zone to be a little bit larger. So I'm moving the red down. Yeah, let's play with that. Let's see what that looks like. Let's go back into our 3D view. Yeah, that's looking pretty great. Now, I still have a lot of work that I need to do on the petals, or excuse me, on the rods. They're not going to be red. They're going to be this wonderful shade of yellow. But we can start to see the impact and power of this. Now, in the 3D view, being able to change the start and stop of these positions is really attractive, because I can go in and make a much stronger core, which I think I'm going to keep, and then it's going to go to the white petals on the outside. Let's add the mask in here real fast, and we'll be done with the color blocking of the gradient that goes on the petals. Let's add a black mask, and luckily for us, this is going to get really easy because there's only 4 UVs for the petals itself. Let's jump back over into our 2D view and take a look-see here. So I have a black mask. I'm currently painting with white. Let's just do the UV islands here. Yeah, just those. It's not going to go, the red and the gradient's not going to go on the rods, which is pretty neat. You can see in the thumbnail here the areas that we've masked out. Yeah, and it's looking pretty great now. Let's go back into the 3D view only. Yeah, that's looking pretty stellar. So these gradients inside of our procedural area give us a really wonderful access to traditional gradients, if you will, that you're used to seeing in traditional graphic design programs. I still got some work in here that I need to do to finish up the illusion. I need to go in and add a small little height map and some additional color information, and I need to have the bottom of the petals be green on the bottom here, and I need to do the lily pad. But I'm starting to get really, really happy with how all of this color information is being applied to the elements inside of my scene.